Hey Spanish Fork, welcome to season 2 of the Road Show. I'm really excited to be with our traffic engineer, Dylan Weirbrick, and division manager for engineering, Jared Johnson again. Thanks for coming back. Season 2 of the Road Show. This is the best part of your job, right?
It's the favorite thing we do, yeah.
But really, we developed this show to talk about traffic and some of the solutions that we have. We know traffic's a big deal in Spanish Fork. It's getting heavier, and these are some of the things, the innovative things that we're doing to help alleviate some of that. Especially today we're going to talk about alleviating Main Street traffic and focusing on what we call these north-south corridors. So we have a video we're going to watch.
Yeah, you know, we've been planning for years, right? People usually complain to us, hey, you don't think ahead. We do think ahead. Sometimes we can't anticipate everything, but this will be a good example of a case in which we did think ahead quite a bit. We've been preparing these corridors for good reason, and I think everyone, as you watch the video, you'll be able to see why we're doing what we're doing. So,
okay, let's take a look.
Hey, Spanish Fork, we're growing. Good for us. And with great growth comes great traffic, I suppose. Especially if you're driving north, it's just a headache. Everyone's using the same roads. Yeah, those two. And I mean everyone. The towns to the south, people coming through the canyon. These are crowded roads. But we still use them. Because what else are we going to do? I mean, say you live here. You're heading north, freeway, shopping, whatever. You're going to detour to these roads because otherwise, well, you've got a stop sign here, 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 and here, and you got to cross Center Street at this one, which is just not very pleasant to contemplate. What we need in Spanish Fork are better north-south options. Okay, so let's see if we can make this work. All right, we'll change these stop signs to roundabouts. Roundabouts keep us moving safely. Let's remove this stop sign altogether, and what do you say we just put a stoplight on Center Street? Check it out. It's safer, there's way less stopping, it's a good route now. The old bad option is the new good option. And we're not running into every north-south driver in town on the same 2 roads anymore. And this is exactly what we're doing. Every third road off of Main Street will receive this tender, loving care. Roundabouts that keep traffic flowing, stoplights at the stressful intersections, and better crosswalks. So whether you live here, here, or anywhere, soon north-south travel in Spanish Fork will be just a road away. Oh, and don't forget about our new north-south option over here on Spanish Fork Parkway. It's already up and running. Give it a try. Anyway, to learn more about these and other improvements, visit the Public Works page at SpanishFork.org.
So this project we started last year, 2 years ago even, on some of these, especially 3rd West. And this year the plan is 3rd East, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we've been kind of going one at a time, right, to minimize how bad it is for all of our residents to do all the construction at once. But we've been trying to develop these corridors and get them ready because there are a couple of projects that we're anticipating happening in the next couple of years. One of those will be a reconstruction of Main Street that is still planned. We're not solid on those details yet, but we know it's coming. Before that happens, we want to create corridors for our residents to get around town without using Main Street or US 6. So we've been thinking ahead for quite a while, planning these projects, and now we're beginning to do them. One thing that is really unique about these corridors is these corridors are specifically for Spanish Fork residents. Right? These aren't really useful to you if you live in Salem. They're not useful to you if you live in Mapleton. These are really just for our residents. And we do that because we know how bad Main Street and US 6 and other busy roads are. We want our residents to have an easier way of getting around town. So these are good projects that I think are really focused on the needs of our residents right now. And we hope that everyone's going to be able to utilize them that way when they're done.
So we've already done some of the 3rd West changes. 1150 East, we did this last summer. The light at Center and 8th East is done. Jared, what have we seen as far as how those projects have been since we've completed them?
I think they're very successful. 300 West Roundabout on 4th North is working very well. We also had a signal at 630 West and Center Street, the 8th East Center Street. Works very well. We've added a signal at 400 East and 800 North. So everything's working great. We just got to get on 300 East, get those improvements done over this next year, and then move on to the 600 East corridor next year too.
Perfect. Dylan, will you walk us through what those 300 East changes will be this summer?
Yeah, absolutely. So this summer, the first one that we'll be starting is a new roundabout up at 800 North and 300 East. Now, this roundabout is necessary for a number of reasons. Primarily, as our residents will know, one of the biggest draws in this area of town is Costco and Macy's and that commercial area at the top of the city there at 1000 North. So this roundabout is necessary because, as everyone knows, there isn't a road that goes straight from 300 East all the way to 1000 North where all those shopping destinations are. So we need to be able to utilize the two roads that do exist, 200 East and 400 East. The roundabout is the safest and most effective way to get drivers who are going north or south on 300 East to divert to 400 East or to 200 East and access those destinations. So that roundabout's very important for us. That'll be going in this summer first thing. We've already started some of the preliminary work on it as well. The next one that we'll be working on in short order will be on 400 North. So down 4 blocks, we'll have a new roundabout planned at 400 North. Now, 400 North, everyone knows the state road, very, very busy, lots of traffic. A roundabout is also the best solution here. And it's also a great place for a roundabout because 300 East is so wide at this location that we can fit the roundabout without impacting any of the surrounding properties, without doing much to change the culture of the neighborhood or anything like that. It'll be just a very good, it'll fit right in there like a puzzle piece, I think. So we're excited about that one as well. And then the last project this summer that we will be doing are improvements at Center Street and 300 East. We'll need to do a traffic signal there. And in conjunction with that traffic signal, we're doing some improvements to the block to the south. Most of our residents in that area will also be familiar with the weird, kind of strange intersection we have at 100 South and 300 East, because we have that cool planter, right. that hill planter that's very unique but very difficult to move cars around. So we're doing some additional improvements to those two intersections to make that a good corridor.
So one of the maybe concerns we've seen is right on 800 North, you now have a roundabout, traffic light within 3 blocks. How will that affect traffic? Will there be a big impact? Are cars going to line up through both roundabouts when the light goes red? What's being done to mitigate that issue? Yeah,
great question. So the short answer is no. We don't anticipate any crazy events happening like that. Now, that being said, there are some days of the week and some days of the year where there are a lot of people in one area. And it seems that no matter what we do, if we left nothing there, if we did just stoplights or whatever the case, sometimes it's going to be very busy. So I think that that'll happen from time to time on those really busy days, holidays, whatever it is. But generally speaking, no, we're not anticipating anything like that. That would take a lot more traffic than we currently have on 800 North to do that. So, and the two roundabouts being close together, people are really concerned about that as well. I've heard a lot of concern about that, and having two roundabouts close together actually works pretty well, surprisingly well, because they both keep people moving, right? So long as there isn't a stoppage on one of the approaches for who knows what reason, those will both keep on circulating really well independently of each other, and they'll kind of just flow together.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to go through the details of the roundabouts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, tell us what we're seeing here. This is that 8th North, 3rd East roundabout.
Exactly, yep. So you'll notice a couple of things that we had to do here. If you're familiar with this intersection in town, it's a little bit offset, right? So it doesn't line up perfectly. The north side of the intersection and the south side, they don't line up perfectly. So one thing that we had to do is we purchased a home on that corner there that you can kind of see the road goes right through the middle of where it used to be. We needed to purchase that home and put the road through it to make it safe and aligned correctly for all of the users. So that was the first thing we did. You'll notice also we made it nice, long extensions on what we call those center splitter islands. and we made it so that there's a lot of curvature. And the curvature might seem a little bit crazy to some people. It might seem a little bit unsafe, but what we find is the more curvy those roads are as they approach the roundabout, the slower people go. And we want people to go through the roundabouts as slowly as possible. That makes it safer for vehicles, safer for pedestrians, bicycles, whatever the case may be. So a bit of a unique spot here, but hopefully with this diagram you can see generally what we're planning.
And bike lanes are going to be added to Third, right?
Yeah, that's one of the big improvements that we're making on 300 East this year is we'll be adding protected bike lanes all the way up and down that corridor. As they get to this intersection, you'll notice at the top of that figure there, we transition those bike lanes into a shared use bike lane, so they'll share the road with the local cars who live there on that north side of the road. And then they'll make their way to 900 North and continue the bike corridor east and west from there.
Okay. And then let's look at that other roundabout on 4th North and 3rd East. Like you said, there's a lot of room here, so it just kind of fits like a piece of the puzzle.
It does, yeah. It fits just like a glove, actually, and we love how it's going to work because those bike lanes we talked about, we're able to keep those on the roadway, but we can separate them with concrete, which makes them very much safer for those bicyclists who are going through the intersection. They'll cross at the same crosswalks just about as the pedestrians. So we like this design. It fits really well, and we think it'll handle the amount of traffic that's on 400 North really well.
Jared, when can we see these closures and construction start happening?
Construction should start on 800 North, 300 East here, probably within, I say, the next month or two, and then the 400 North, 300 East roundabout will start construction in July. Okay. Everything should end October, November, so.
Okay. Let's go on. We've got the next thing as part of this corridor is that 6th East and 1000 North. What can you tell us? We did something last year where we took a left turn movement away and built a barrier in anticipation of UDOT's project. But you're also adding some paint and signs for this spot.
Yeah, and to be clear, so these improvements on 600 East are coming next year. So we will do all of those intersections next year, but the one that we're handling right now, just to make sure that we're in front of all the issues, is we're putting in a do not block intersection right there in the middle of the intersection of 600 East and 1000 North. We're doing that just to make sure that people who are going north on 600 East are able to turn right and get on to 1000 North. Because as most people will know, if you've been up here, it backs up from US 6 all the way past Neaters, all the way to Slim Chickens, to Costco. So we need to create that little gap for people to be able to get out onto 1000 North.
Yeah, so please let a couple of vehicles in. They'll get through and go to whatever lane they want to, and then the rest of traffic can flow. That's the idea?
Exactly, yep.
Perfect. Okay, so now we're here, US 6. They just started some construction. They were doing some night work from now until the fall. But how does that affect Spanish Fork residents?
Yeah, this is a great question. This is a big project. Obviously, this is a state project. It's using all state money to do this, and so we don't have a ton of control over the timing and things, but we did work with UDOT closely to make sure that we impacted our residents the least amount possible. So as anyone who uses US 6 will know, closing lanes down is going to make it very difficult. So we're going to recommend to our residents to avoid US 6 for most of the summer, and to use these other streets and roads that we have created to get you around town. Now, some background on this project. We intended for this to start last year with UDOT, but UDOT wasn't able to get good bids and to get this construction started, so we delayed this project until this year, and they chose to combine it with another project that restores all of the asphalt pavement for all of US 6 up to the mouth of the canyon. So this will be kind of a full rebuild of US 6 through this whole portion, and it'll be a lot better for people once it's done. But while it's going on, it's going to be very impactful, lots of delays. Now, one good thing about it, good or bad, I guess, if you live around here, you might not like it too much, but there will be mostly night work on this project. So the vast majority of that construction will take place at night so that we impact as few vehicles as possible. But Nonetheless, it might be a little bit ugly for the summer, so maybe avoid it.
Yeah, that'll be good when it's done. It'll be hard as it goes. I think there's two intersections in particular that we want to touch on. That's the Canyon Creek and Expressway lanes. So I think we have graphics of those. So tell us what we're seeing here at US 6 and Canyon Creek Parkway.
Yeah, so this is, of course, this is as 1000 North becomes Canyon Creek Parkway. This is one of our busier roads in town. This is between the Walmart and the Costco and all those other things. One thing that we did with UDOT that we tried very hard to accomplish was incorporating these dual left turn lanes. So that's 2 left turn lanes on all 4 legs of this intersection. That way we'll have a lot more storage, get a lot more of those left turns through on every phase, right? Every cycle of that signal. And that'll help us not have those lines that stretch all the way back to Walmart, it seems, right? That's one of the big issues we have. This will really help that. And you'll notice all that striping is being redone, new capacity, new lanes. We're hoping this will provide some relief for the US 6 traffic for several years to come.
Anything to add here, Jared, on this intersection?
Nothing to add on this intersection, but I just want to add to this project, let's use Spanish Fork Parkway. I mean, that's what we got Spanish Fork Parkway open for last year. Another reason we delayed the project is because we needed to get that parkway open so we can divert traffic to other areas of town. So while we're doing construction, use the Spanish Fork Parkway, use these north corridors.
So that road picks up on US 6 right by the small neighborhood Walmart and the Holiday Oil, right, past Maple Mountain High School and then down over really to the hospital.
Correct.
So yeah, that's one way to avoid pretty much all of this.
Yeah, if you live on the east side of town, that'll almost certainly be the fastest and safest way for you to get there. So.
Okay, let's go down to Expressway Lane. Just similar, looks like, right? Dual lefts on every leg. Anything else they're doing here?
Nope. Again, it's the same idea with those dual lefts coming in. One thing to keep in mind about the dual lefts, these intersections have been pretty unsafe for a long time because people will try to beat the red light. And other cars that are coming down the highway will be coming at 60, 70 miles per hour sometimes. There's not time to stop when they're trying to beat those lights. So one of the really good things about these projects is more space and more cars get through every time, but they're also going to be a protected only, which means you have to go on a green arrow. You can't go on a flashing yellow arrow. So that'll be another good thing for our residents to have a safety improvement that's going on with part of this project.
Yeah, that's a great thought. And then they're adding a third lane here, right, to get up to Center Street?
So the third lane, it goes through the Expressway lane intersection and then ties back in, tapers back in before the bridge over 400 North. Okay. So we'll have a third lane through that stretch, but once you get to that bridge, it goes back down to 2 lanes.
Got it. Okay, anything else on this project?
I can't think of anything to add other than the construction's began and it should end in the fall. So.
Okay, yeah, here we go, buckle up, lots of changes. Well, there's 2 other projects I think we want to talk about today, and that's one is a traffic signal up on 2300 East in Canyon Road, and then the project to bring back that dual left on Volunteer Drive. But let's start with the first one.
Yeah, for sure. The 2300 East and Canyon Road signal is one that we've been talking about for probably a year and a half now.
I think on our first road show.
Right.
That one up.
We brought it up, and it's one that's been a concern of our residents in this area for quite some time, and for good reason. Traffic moves very quickly. It's a very wide intersection, not very safe. So we've been working with UDOT as fast as we can to get a traffic signal installed here. We hit some snags early on in the design and it delayed us until now, but we're just now finishing with our design. We'll be going out to bid this summer and have it built this summer to have those safety issues resolved. Everything will go back to normal this summer.
Okay, looking forward to that. And then the last thing is that left. There used to be 2 lefts to get onto Main Street from Volunteer Drive. When you leave the sports park, that 4th leg of the intersection finally was developed, and that took that away, one of those lanes. But you're going to bring them back.
Yes, yeah, and I'll give you some context on this one as well. So that's down by the sports park, right, next to that Wendy's and the dugout and those things. So like you say, on the east side of that intersection, it ended up being developed this year by a developer, which means, in simple words, they just built the road. They built the 4th leg of that road this year. What that did, I'll go back to when we built that road the first time. When we built it the first time, there wasn't a road on the east side.
Right.
So we had 3 lanes that were going toward the east. One that was for the left turns, one that was for the through traffic, and one that was for the right turns. There was no east leg of the intersection, and so at that time we decided, let's turn that into another left turn, because why not, right? It's just convenient, we can use the space, let's do it. As soon as that leg went in, we had to turn that back into a through lane.
Which is what it was built for.
Which is what it was built for. And so that's the reason why it came out. It was because that was the way it was always supposed to be, and we were just kind of borrowing that space in the meantime. But listening to our residents and their concerns and seeing the traffic that's developed over here, we want to be very responsive and responsible about this intersection. And so we're working with UDOT right now to do a temporary solution that'll put those dual left turns back in for the time being, and then as soon as that east side develops a little bit more, we'll rearrange the intersection one more time, get those dual lefts in there permanently, and go from there.
So you think we can maybe before Fiesta Days have those left turns back?
We are certainly planning on it. We're doing our best.
We're currently working with UDOT. We've got a design team on board. Need to get it restriped, but we should have that done in the next couple of months.
Okay, I think that'll be great. And I think, I don't think anybody really understood the history of that intersection and why it went away. It just seemed like it was sudden, but we were just had the gift of it for a few years before the other side was developed. So a lot going on this summer. Again, just seems like every summer. But any last thoughts or words as we wrap up today?
Well, like we've talked about so far in the road show, these projects, the things we're doing, they have our residents in mind. We don't do these things for Mapleton. We don't do these things for Salem or for Springville. All these projects we've been talking about are designed to help our residents. We know there's a lot of traffic, and we apologize that there's a lot of traffic, but that's just kind of the nature of where we live right now, and so we're doing our best to handle it, and we're open to input, and I think that's one thing that we've seen a lot is as our residents communicate with us, they have a lot of really good ideas. Sometimes we can't do what they would like to see. A lot of times we can. So we invite people to reach out to us, give us those recommendations, tell us their concerns, and we're happy to do what we can.
Great. Jared, any last thoughts?
Only last thing I'll add to that is we are working with the other agencies, though. We do work with UDOT, we do work with MAG, and we are working on solutions to get other traffic situations resolved. Loafer Mountain Parkway has been opened. We plan to continue that road and improvements there. But other than that, Main Street's going to be reconstructed. But we do work with the other agencies, and we are looking at a more of a regional master plan and do the work there too.
Great, and there's an active transportation component to really all of these projects, right? Safer crosswalks, bike lanes that we're working on to keep that available for all types of mobility and transit. I think we've talked about mass transit opportunities that may be coming with some of the other projects going on in town and interchanges. So, I guess that's just one of the consequences of having nice things in Spanish Fork is other people want to come use those nice things too. Yeah. And it comes with the territory of being able to have everything close. But thanks for all your work on this. I think these will be really good improvements when they get done. And I think we'll all be able to take advantage and cut down that commute time. So, and thanks for you for joining us and tuning in today. We appreciate Spanish Fork 17 and hosting us in the studio and helping us produce this video so that you can be in the know of all the things happening on the road in Spanish Fork. Until next time.